Hello and welcome back. Today we're here to talk about the Mokwheel Obsidian step-through. This is a fat tire e-bike with full suspension and a 1,000-watt motor. It's a ton of fun to ride with great ride and handling and feels great on the road. I love riding this bike. Let's dig into it and talk about some of the features. Let's talk about some of the features of the Mokwheel Obsidian. This is a full suspension e-bike with 26 by 4-inch fat tire wheels. It's got an air spring for the rear suspension. It is a 4-link rear suspension. It's a horse link, similar to like the Specialized design that's real common now on e-bikes and mountain bikes. It's got an 8-speed Shimano pedal driveline with an Altus derailleur. It's got disc brakes with 180 millimeter rotors. It comes with a front fender and a rear fender right now. It has a front light. It has a drop for seat post. As you can see, if you pull the lever on it, you can squeeze it down or lift the seat up. It's kind of nifty. The bike doesn't have a hardwired in rear light, but they give you this little light that you can snap on and off here. It just comes off real easy and you just snap it back on. So that's a nice little accessory piece that comes with the bike. The bike has a 20 amp hour battery. It's 48 volt, 28 amp hour. It has a standard, kind of a standard size pack. It does have a spring release in here to keep you from dropping out in addition to the keyhole. And then there's a charge port on the side of the bike so you can charge it without taking out. And then there's an optional inverter you can buy with the bike that plugs in right here. So this is the inverter outlet if you want to power a 110 volt item off this bike battery if you're out camping or something. The rear shock has an air adjustment, and they do give you a table in the instruction manual to say what pressure it should be. So you'll have to buy a pump though. They do not give you a shock pump with the bike. It also has a lockout so you can make it a little less pogo if you do have to pedal this manually. And then you have the other standard items like the kickstand and rear fender and front fender. So the bike has a 750 watt motor that's capable of 1,000 watts output. It has a weight capacity of 350 pounds. The bike weighs in at around 73 pounds, so it's not the lightest bike in the world, but it's not the heaviest. If you want a bike rack for it, you do have to get something that accommodates that weight level. Let's talk about some of our likes and dislikes of the bike. My favorite thing about the bike is just how it rides. It's just super smooth feeling and comfortable. I love riding the bike. It's one of the most fun bikes to ride. It's probably my personal favorite e-bike of all the ones I've gotten so far. If I was going to choose any bike of the ones I've ridden so far today to ride, this probably would be it. On pavement or off-road, I just enjoy this bike a lot. It has good range for the 20 amp hour battery. You can go 28 miles per hour while pedaling, which is nice. So if you do want to go faster on the bike, you can pedal it faster. It is limited to 20 for throttle. Let's talk about some of our dislikes of the bike. Probably the only thing I don't like the bike is just how heavy it is when you're loading and unloading at 73 pounds, where, a little bit lighter would be nice. The lights, they work, but I wish the front light was a bit brighter with a wider beam. It's kind of adequate for going 15 to 20, but not really enough for going faster, and definitely not enough trail riding or anywhere that's real curvy. That's probably my only real complaint about the bike. Overall, I really enjoy the bike and like it a lot though, so I can't really say too much bad about it because it's one of my favorite e-bikes I've ever ridden. We're gonna do a little off-roading with the bike. This is kind of like a Jeep trail double track. It's not the smoothest thing in the world. It's not as smooth as a dirt road, but it's not as rough as a traditional mountain bike trail. So let's see how the bike does. And I'll say the suspension is doing a pretty good job of smoothing it out. I'll say the rear wheel probably does feel a bit smoother than the front wheel does because it's got an air spring instead of the coil spring that the front does. But it's definitely got enough power to make this feel easy and smooth. I'd say very comfortable to ride. Those are some pretty big ruts in the trail and did a pretty good job of smoothing that out. Now we'll just ride it out in the grass here for and it makes this very easy to ride, where if you had a traditional bike without any pedal assist, this would not be easy to ride on this kind of deeper grass and very not smooth. Well, smooth, but not smooth for normal pedaling bike. So if you wanted to ride across a field or something, I would say definitely this bike will work well for that. As far as handling goes, this bike does have a fairly slack head tube on it. So it does, feel very stable at higher speeds. It does give you kind of confidence to ride some of this off-road stuff a little bit faster. And these, big fat tires at 20 PSI do give pretty good grip. You could go lower PSI if you wanted even more traction out of it. And we'll do the slightly steeper hill at the beginning. We'll just ride off throttle instead of pedal assist. I also took the Obsidian out to this wooded double track trail. It's more of a rooty dirt surface, not gravel like the other trail was, just to see how the suspension feels. It is really fun to rip around this area, and I really enjoy riding it here a lot. It's fast, it's smooth, and it does a pretty good job of absorbing all the roots. Next, I took the bike out to some actual mountain bike trail. This is actual single track designed for mountain bikes. It's kind of windy and tight. There isn't a lot of climbing on this trail section because I don't think the bike will do well on really steep technical climbs like most hub runners don't. But it's really fun to ride kind of in a smooth, flowy trail that has a lot of wide open corners that aren't too tight. So I would say this bike is a ton of fun for flow trail kind of situations where you have smooth corners that aren't super tight where you can keep some speed up. Okay, we're going to test top speed with throttle first. This is just with the factory settings. I haven't updated anything yet, so it's going to be limited to 20 miles per hour. I think, I'm assuming that. I saw 19.9 miles per hour on the display and 19.7 on the GPS, so kind of right under 20 miles per hour. Okay, we're going to test top speed now with pedal assist on level 5, so see how fast it goes. I believe it's set at 28 miles per hour from the factory, which would make it a class 3 e-bike. So I saw 28.3 miles per hour on the display and 28.2 on the GPS. So let's talk about the PAS levels right now for a second. Obviously 0 is no motor, you're getting no health. 1 is a fairly small amount of assist. There's a noticeable difference as you go up in levels. Like there's definitely more power for 2 than there was for 1. And 3 definitely gives you more kick. I love 3. 3, 4, and 5, I don't notice that much difference between, but it's proportionally a little bit more power, but there's not as much difference between 3, 4, and 5 as there isn't between 1, 2, and 3. I would say at speed, it's very easy to go 22, 23 without doing too much work. I'd say above 23, 24, you got to start having a pretty fast pedal cadence, but it is rideable at 28 with the gearing range, though you do pedal pretty fast to get there. So if you wanted to easily ride 28, it really needs a bit higher gearing, but 23, 24, 25 are pretty easy to go as it's geared right now. Took the Obsidian for our standard hill climb test. This is a half-mile hill with 10% grades, and we use a 250-pound rider. We do the test twice, once with throttle only and once with pedal assist using the factory settings and whatever your maximum throttle, max pedal assist settings there are on the bike. The Obsidian took 1 minute and 50 seconds for throttle, and it took 1 minute and 30 seconds for pedal assist. This is 3 seconds faster than the Abington Adventure 2 on throttle and a full 20 seconds faster than pedal assist. This was one of the faster bikes I've ridden up the hill with pedal assist. We did a couple rides to see how far the Obsidian would go to check its range. We did 2 rides, once with pedal assist and once with throttle only. We used a standard route that has some fairly steep hills on it. We do the ride as close to 15 miles per hour as possible for both pedal assist and throttle, and use a 250-pound rider. This represents a pretty good real-world test of how far the bike will actually go with a normal rider on it. It's not the easiest test in the world because it's not just flat ground at 10 miles an hour. The Obsidian went 50 miles with pedal assist using level 2 for the pedal assist power, and it went 40 miles using just throttle only. This is right about reasonable for a 20 amp hour battery and about where we expected the range to be. Let's talk about the cockpit and the controls. It has the standard Mokwheel control setup, which is a 4-button controller that has a power button, plus and minus button for changing the PS levels, and a light button. And it also has a horn, which is really obnoxious. And then it's got a throttle, a thumb throttle on the left handlebar, and the hydraulic disc brake. On the other side, you have the standard Shimano Altus shifter that shows you what gear you're in, and the other hydraulic lever. These nice grips with the palm supports. Then you've got the display, which shows you the speed you're going and how much battery you have left. And then some other things like a trip meter and how much time you've been on the bike for. You can adjust the PS level. There is a menu you can access by holding the up and down buttons on it. However, there isn't really much you can adjust. You can adjust the brightness and you can adjust the startup mode to be a little bit faster or slower and reset the trip, but you can't really adjust anything else. The top speed is kind of baked into it. One thing to note, when you're turning on the Mokwheel bikes, you've got to hold the button for about 5 seconds to get it to turn on. It's an annoyingly long time that might make you think the bike is broken, but it will turn on eventually. They're just slow turning on. And it's been that way for every Mokwheel bike we've tried so far. So these are the lights on the Obsidian. The headlight's got a dual LED on it. And the taillight had the strapping part we showed earlier that I can know a few different patterns, so. So there's what you can get on the back. So we'll get on and ride it for a minute with this light. Like in a nice dark situation with a straight path like this, it's bright enough when you're going straight. It's kind of a narrow beam though, so it doesn't really light the corners up very much. It's kind of an adequate light for 15 miles an hour, but it leaves you wishing for a bit more brightness than what it has. It's probably about average for an e-bike light, but no brighter. If you're riding somewhere like with a lot of curves, definitely get a helmet light. Let's talk about assembly for a minute. The Mokwheel Obsidian comes in a large shipping box similar to most e-bikes. The main task for assembly is attaching the handlebar, mounting the front wheel, and mounting the fenders. It's fairly easy. It took me about 45 minutes to do. They give you tools for everything you need. I didn't need to use any tools other than what it came with. And the rear derailleur was adjusted perfectly out of the box. I didn't need any adjustments, which is nice. Overall, this is something most people can manage to do on their own. Overall, the Mokwheel Obsidian is a super fun bike to ride. It gives you the confidence to ride it fast, and it's very comfortable to ride whether you're on pavement or off-road. The full suspension gives it a nice cushy ride that makes it fun on almost any terrain. There are a few downsides, such as the light isn't quite as bright as I'd like to be, but overall, it's a really nice bike that's really fun to ride. You can find some links below for getting the Mokwheel Obsidian. Again, it's available in a step-through version, which this is, or a regular bike. Thanks for watching, everyone. Please hit the like and subscribe before you go so you can get our future updates.